Yeah, right. So I'm going to take a break from doing the weight loss thing and answer some questions that are coming from people. Some people want to know a little bit about my personal history with fighting, and some people want to know about coaching history and bits and pieces along those lines. I try and kind of do it in an order, I guess, that makes sense. So, in terms of my personal athletic history, I was in the UK. I was training for the Royal Marines. When I was training for the Royal Marines, I started bodybuilding. I got caught up in bodybuilding at that point and went off and did a bunch of competitions and won those in the under 18s category. And then I was invited to the national championships. But when I'd done the last regional championships, I'd seen the size difference between the under 18s and the under 21s. So I wanted to take a little bit of a break from it and focus on building up to be ready for the under 21s. Whilst I was doing that, a friend of mine who was a boxer invited me to go and do some boxing with him, and I went and did some boxing with him, and he just beat me up for a couple of rounds, and we realized that all the muscle that I had meant that I couldn't bring my elbows together. I couldn't close off the gaps very well. So I had all this muscle, but it actually wasn't very practical when it came to day-to-day use. So I was like, well, this isn't the greatest of sports. Then I went and trained for a little bit with Jeff Capes, who was the former world's strongest man. And I was looked at doing strongman competitions, but with the strongman competitions, those guys like to lift a lot and then they like to drink a lot. I'm not really big on that, so that didn't work well for me either. And then I ended up not doing anything for a while. Then I'd always loved boxing, and I wanted to take up boxing, but where I was in the UK, there were no boxing gyms near me. There was a Muay Thai gym, so I started doing Muay Thai. Very quickly, I wanted to compete, and then I went over to, just thinking it through, I relocated my life, moved over to Thailand, and started fighting in Thailand. Whilst I was doing that, I got a job as Tiger Muay Thai's head strength and conditioning coach. I was their first head strength and conditioning coach before they had anybody else doing that job. We did a lot of work together. I stayed part of that team, part of that fight team for a long time. I won some championships with Tiger, then evolved into MMA, just kind of out of boredom of just doing the same training day in, day out. Really loved grappling. Went on to win the national championship, the golden national championships in Thailand. Won gold in the Southeast Asia, sorry, the Pan Asian Games. Also have a gold medal from the Southeast Asian Games. Won a championship in Singapore. We came over to Mexico, actually won gold in the Mexican Nationals as well at heavyweight. Won silver in the ADCC qualifiers at pro level. Just in grappling. Undefeated in MMA. My highlight in that was winning the UGB MMA light heavyweight title. And to this day, I keep fighting. These days, I don't fight Muay Thai and I don't fight MMA anymore. When I came and I moved everything over to Mexico. We'll go into that in a different video. When I moved everything over to Mexico, was I wanted to go back to my roots, like what inspired me to start with, which was boxing. So like being here, and I found, you do all this stuff and you do all the MMA, and you see all these people cross over now between the two, and very rarely do you see anybody do very well. And it was the challenge that I thought would be the case, is that for someone that spent their life training how to kick, punch, elbow, knee, then to dial it back to just being really good with your hands, it's a completely different thing. So it's almost like starting from scratch. So these last few years, I've been doing the boxing competitions, and I'm still getting better at boxing. I love it. I mean, it's fantastic. I wish I'd started doing it earlier. I still teach MMA and I still teach Muay Thai. Still teach grappling. I love all of those things too. But from a competitive perspective, my first love was boxing. My love at the moment is boxing. And I try not to lift too much these days. I'm qualified in a whole bunch of different training methods. A personal trainer, I'm a nutritionist. But it's about, again, like I think I've said in a blog post or something too, like you don't want to put on too much weight when you're competing in weight classes, because being heavier doesn't make my skull thicker. Being more muscular doesn't increase my bone density and things like that. So all you get is people that are naturally heavier, who have naturally thicker bone structures and things, pounding on you. And yes, if you're fast, it can work. It's not that it can't, but I think you're giving yourself a disadvantage, and you're better to be competing at your natural weight class when it comes to these kinds of sports. Anyway, that's kind of a little kind of quick. I'm sure I've left out a ton of stuff too, but there's a quick overview anyway of my competitive history, if you like.